Howdy, gang, and welcome back. So, in the last lecture, we were talking about Haitian society in 1789 and the influences of the French Revolution on the Haitian Revolution. And we talked about Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Today, we will talk briefly. This will be a shorter lecture. We'll be talking about reasserting French dominance on the island, and then we'll talk about the eventual liberation of Haiti. Now, if you remember, or if you're just listening to this back to back to back, 5 minutes ago, we have Napoleon taking over the French government in November 1799 and starts turning his eyes back to reasserting French dominance in the New World. And we talked about I talked about how part of the reason behind this was because Louverture set up this Constitution of 1801. And if you remember, it made Louverture Governor General of Saint-Domingue for life, permitting him to appoint his own successor. Explicitly stated that slavery would not exist on the island and, quote, all men were born, live, and die free and French. Guaranteed equality and equal treatment under the law for all races, and Roman Catholicism was established as a state religion. This did not declare Saint-Domingue independent from France, but still was considered a colony of France. Now, Napoleon did not exactly like the fact that Louverture had gone and created a constitution for Saint-Domingue. At the same time, he was starting to feel political pressure at home from these emigres, these people who had left the island, the people who had money to leave the island earlier and had large plantations on the island. And he was feeling political pressure from nationalists who wanted to put Saint-Domingue, Haiti, back under French control. And almost as probably more importantly, they wanted Saint-Domingue to start contributing to the French treasury again. Remember, prior to the revolution, prior to 1789, Haiti was responsible for 40% of all sugar and 60% of all coffee going to Europe. So it was a cash cow for France. In addition, France had settled into a short period of peace with Britain. Britain and France had signed a ceasefire, a temporary peace treaty. Well, they didn't think it was temporary. They signed a peace treaty. It turns out it will be temporary. And Napoleon wanted to restart the French New World Empire with Louisiana and Saint-Domingue, Haiti, at the center. Saint-Domingue, Haiti, would provide the coin to the French treasury, and Louisiana would provide the territory for this new world empire. And so in December 1801, Napoleon ordered the French fleet of about 30,000 men to retake the island of Hispaniola. By 1801, Louverture had conquered the entirety of the island. So Louverture did not just control the 1/3 of Hispaniola, but kicked the Spanish out and effectively controlled the entire island. And so between February and April 1802, the French military retook control of Saint-Domingue. And in May, on the 6th of May, 1802, Louverture went to talk to the general in command, General Leclerc, Leclerc. So Louverture went to talk with General Leclerc about the treatment of captured Haitians. And I mean, if you think about it, it's just like he was back in the early part of the revolution. He's starting to negotiate with people, with the French, with the slaves initially, and now in this case with the French over hostages. However, on the 6th of May 1802, Louverture goes to negotiate when he himself was taken by the French. The French believed that if you cut off the head of the snake will die. And so they viewed Haiti as a snake, Louverture as its head, so remove Louverture and everybody will fall in line. Louverture was exiled off the island in June and taken back to France in chains. Once there, Louverture was imprisoned in France until his death on the 7th of April, 1803. So Louverture has been removed from power. The Haitians, the people of Saint-Domingue, trying to figure out what to do. They have 30,000 French soldiers on the island. Well, at this point, the island itself decides to step in and help. The island started taking its revenge on the French shortly after Louverture's capture in May 1802. Yellow fever. Yellow fever. Yellow fever, a female mosquito-borne disease, started ravaging through the French soldiers. They didn't have any protection to it. There was no vaccine. Many who were already on the island generally had what people today would call a herd immunity. Enough people had been infected throughout the entirety of their experience on the island that they, for the most part, were not so much immune, but less susceptible to the disease. But the French soldiers, the men coming from France, had no such luck. And yellow fever began ravaging through the French soldiers and the French citizens. General Leclerc himself dies of yellow fever on the 1st of November, 1802. Yellow fever, not soldiers, not fighting, not combat, but yellow fever will kill up to 2/3, 66% of all French soldiers who arrived in Saint-Domingue. So yellow fever, the disease itself, will kill between 18 to 20,000 soldiers on the island. Now, we're going to sort of shift our view a little bit. So the French soldiers, Napoleon's goal was to secure Haiti and then take those French soldiers and take them up to Louisiana. Well, obviously, if you're losing 66% of your soldiers, that plan is out the window. And now we're going to talk a little bit about Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Jean-Jacques Dessalines. Now, Dessalines, unlike Louverture, Dessalines was a former slave. Well, Louverture was a former slave too, but he was emancipated. Dessalines was a former slave who rebelled. He was a slave working on a sugar plantation at the time of the slave rebellion, and he worked his way up to become Louverture's most trusted lieutenant during this period. Now, if Louverture is more of a moderate, Dessalines, well, and just to make sure you guys have the spelling, it is Jean-Jacques, Jean-Jacques, Dessalines, Dessalines. Now, if Louverture was a moderate, Dessalines had a more racially pure view of the island and became known for his violence against not only the free whites, but les gens de couleur as well, the free people of color. And Dessalines, when Louverture is captured and removed by the French, will become Louverture's successor on the island. And when Louverture is captured, Dessalines will once again take up the mantle of rebellion and started fighting against the French alongside the island, which is ravaging the French with yellow fever. By December 1803, so about a year after Leclerc's death, most of the remaining French had fled the island, trying to run the British blockade that had been set up again, just trying to GTFO. And so On the 1st of January 1804, Dessalines will declare the first Black Republic of Haiti, making Haiti the second independent nation in the Americas, after the United States, and the first nation created by a successful slave rebellion. And if the island took its revenge on the French via yellow fever, mostly through 1802, while Dessalines will also take his revenge, and he would order the slaughter of the remaining French on the island between February and April 1804. I have images of the slaughter on the PowerPoint. To give you some numbers, 2,000 people will be murdered in Cape Francois. That was where the majority of the French were located. That was the center of French power when they came back to the island. An additional 900 would be killed in Port-au-Prince, and 400 more in Jérémie. All told, anywhere between 3,000 to 5,000 white men, women, and children were killed by Dessalines and his men. So, 1st of January 1804, Haiti is liberated. Haiti is declared the first Black Republic of Haiti by Dessalines. And so Dessalines moves to take control of the third of the island. By this point, the Spanish had reasserted themselves in the rest of Hispaniola with British help. And so by the end of 1804, Jean-Jacques Dessalines sets Haiti up as the first Haitian empire, with himself as Emperor Jacques I. Dessalines sets himself up as emperor for life, with the right to name his own successor. And one of the first things that Dessalines did was similar to one of the first things that Louverture did. He needs to get the economy back up and running. So he worked to get the sugar and coffee plantations up and running and producing. Again, trying to get this plantations-based economy running so money gets flowing into the Haitian treasury. Dessalines will order that all blacks would either have to work as soldiers, protecting the nation, or as laborers on the plantation to help produce sugar and coffee for export. The idea was that you're working for the betterment of the nation. You're not working for an individual slave holder, but you're working for the betterment of everyone. And then Dessalines looked around and said, well, even though I want a more racially pure, more black society, there are some things that are just missing. There's education that's being missed. There's skills that are being missed. And so he started putting literate, more lighter-skinned blacks into positions of power in his administration, which alienated some of his supporters. They were going, Jacques, Jean-Jacques, Emperor, Jockey baby, what the hell, dude? And so several of his supporters broke away, with others starting to plot the removal of the emperor. And speaking of Emperor Jacques I, Jean-Jacques Dessalines, was assassinated on the 17th of October 1806, leading to the end of the First Haitian Empire. For the next 200 years, Haiti will vacillate, Haiti will change, shift between being ruled by strongmen, making a strong centralized government, or through periods of instability. All right, so that is the end of our Haiti lecture. So we're done with the French in the Caribbean. We're going to be shifting our view next a little further to the north, a little further to the north. We're going to talk about what Britain is up to during this period.